But there we go. Kerry have won the game, 117 to 115. We'll update that score in just a brief moment. Kerry are in the All-Ireland final. They will play Dublin. It will be the 16th All-Ireland final between Kerry and Dublin, the 33rd championship meeting between Kerry and Dublin, the El Clasico of Gaelic football, as we very much know it will happen in a couple of weeks' time. So, yeah, look, I mean, overall, thoughts on the game? Kerry, I suppose, like, ever so slightly deserved it maybe, but like Derry were so close, and on another day Derry had that game.
They did, and I think it was a missed opportunities from Derry clearly. I thought they missed a whole host of opportunities. There was a chance to put it to base 3 to 4 points, but they just didn't do it. And Kerry seemed to be on the ropes, but they got over the line. But I think they were lucky today, Aaron. I think they were incredibly lucky. Derry were probably like Dublin went out of through sheer brilliance last night. I don't think Kerry did today. So look, going into the final, I think Dublin are probably going to be favourites going into it. But Kerry were probably lucky today. They'll get over the line. They'll go back to the drawing board during the week. But Derry will absolutely feel sick after that result there, and especially with the Wigan one. I don't know what went on through his head there, but look, Kerry in the All-Ireland final again, and yeah, it's Dublin Kerry El Clasico final again.
Yeah, and like looking at the Derry players, they just look like they're in shock. They don't even look distraught or upset. They just look in absolute shock. And you know, like they led for that game for the vast majority. Brendan Rodgers, outstanding game. McGuigan obviously getting himself into the big moments. But one thing you do have to give Kerry credit for, 114 to 112 down going into the final 5 minutes. And, you know, Kerry hadn't scored for about 17, 18 minutes. Kerry were struggling. They couldn't get their players into the game. They were struggling to get Clifford into the game. It looked like they were panicking. It looked like, you know, they were getting, it looked like the occasion was getting the run of them. But as we've seen with the best teams, like the big teams step up in the big moments. And that's what's happened. Kerry have stood up in the big moment. Clifford gets himself a, big score. Stephen O'Brien was outstanding, wins a free, pops one over himself as well. And Kerry get the job done.
They do, yeah, but at the end of the day, Aaron, were they lucky with that Stephen O'Brien foul? Like, if that was the other way, like it's fine margins, fine margins. I know, I'd say Kerry were lucky to get the win today, but I will say Derry should have put it away sooner than they did. They had a few chances. There was one from Lachlan Murray in the half. There was another from Brendan Rodgers, I think it was. They had a few crucial wides in the second half, and they just didn't get over the line after that. So, yeah, it's a tough one to take for Derry. They were probably deservedly beaten last year. They probably weren't this year, but they'll have to go back to the drawing board now because that would be a hard one to take for Derry fans. Clifford, I seen, got man of the match, and deservedly so. We said this, even if Kerry came out and won the game, he deserved man of the match because he was the guy keeping Kerry in it. And yeah, it was a good win, confidence booster maybe for Kerry just to get over the line. But performance wise, I think Jack O'Connor will have to go back to the drawing board before meeting up against Dublin again.
Yeah, like, and where do you think it went wrong from a Derry perspective? Like, to be 2 points up in those final couple of minutes, they were looking good. Like, they had opportunities, didn't they? Like, I remember McFell had one that went wide. They had that goal, a couple of half goal chances as well. Like, they had some huge, huge opportunities and huge chances from a Derry perspective. And like, what was that? Was that how it went wrong, or what do you think?
It was definitely because it was 80% shot accuracy in the first half. It went down overall to 57%. So that's a 23% drop off. Derry can only have themselves to blame for basically shooting themselves in the foot, I think, in this game. But Kerry, fair play. You said it during the live stream, like it's what champions do, and they are all Ireland champions for a reason. They pulled it out of the bag and they got over the line in the end. But yeah, you have to feel sorry for Derry in a way. They put so much effort into that game. They didn't get over the line in the end. But with 10 minutes to go, 2 points up, and they were going for goals, that was kind of a questionable thing from a Derry point of view, and that's probably where it went wrong for them. But all credit to Kerry for coming out with the win. But Derry, my God, I think they'll feel absolutely sick for coming out of that game. But what I will say, we thought before the game that it wouldn't be a contest, but in fairness to Derry, they made it a contest in this game, and you have to take your hat off to Derry for that alone.
Yeah, like, and even that chance at the end as well from McGuigan, like you'd wonder just what happened there. Like he's obviously clearly like clearly isn't going for the point. You know, it might have looked like he went for the point, but I don't think he is. Like, I think he knows clearly that there's, you know, that this is the last play of the game. I mean, we're approaching the 9th minute of injury time, obviously, with the fact that there'd been a big delay in the stoppage with the injury of Garrett McKinless. So I think, like, yeah, like it was such an anticlimactic moment because we were all sitting there waiting for the goal chance, waiting for the scramble, and in the end, it was just popped over the bar, and that was it. It was over.
Yeah, it was a very, very poor moment from McGuigan. But I just wonder, did the referee put it in his ear or did he misjudge it? But it looks at his face, I think he misjudged it. And it's unfortunate on Shane McGuigan, who had an outstanding year and had an outstanding game today, despite the Kerry pressure being put on him. But yeah, it's a really tough one to take for Derry. But they only have themselves to blame with the chances they missed. Not just that chance in particular. I wouldn't blame McGuigan solely on that, but there was a few other chances that Derry should have put over the bar and things like that. So yeah, I think Derry will feel absolutely sick after losing that game. But it is Kerry that march on in the end. But what I will say, Conor Glass, or not Conor Glass, Brendan Rodgers had an outstanding game today, and he kept Derry in it right to the bitter end. So he deserves credit in general for keeping Derry in it. But yeah, it wasn't enough, unfortunately, and Kerry march on with Clifford himself. But there is questions about Kerry in general. Are they good without Clifford? By today's showing, they probably aren't. So there's a lot of questions to answer before the All-Ireland final for Kerry, from a Kerry point of view.
There definitely is. There definitely is. And I suppose, as Mark says here, Kerry's defence needs to improve if they're to match the Dubs. Hans says last time Dublin versus Kerry, Dublin trashed Kerry. Well, no, they played each other a year ago in the semi-final, and Kerry won by a point with Sean O'Shea. I mean, look, I wish we trashed them, but unfortunately we didn't. It was Kerry who prevailed the last time out. Why was Sean O'Shea taken out, says Mark? I'm not entirely sure. I think it was the final couple of minutes. Obviously, Kerry were just trying to very much slow the game down. Mark also says, what's your take on the referee? And I mean, yeah, like McGuigan was probably targeted throughout. I mean, he's definitely going to wake up quite sore in the morning. Obviously, I think mentally right now he'll be hurting inside. Obviously, with the fact his team was lost, but like he'll definitely wake up sore. Like a couple of heavy hits to the head and everything else, and a couple of heavy challenges put on him. But yeah, like obviously when we were discussing the halftime, like there was plenty of chatter on the cynicism of Kerry and some of the dirty tackling and everything else. And if it was a team from the north, you know, everyone would be giving out about them. So, like, you'd have to say, like, there was definitely some heavy hits and heavy challenges thrown out towards McGuigan and some of the other Derry lads at times.
There was in general, yeah. And some of the Kerry fans were saying that the referee was very poor at halftime chat here. I'd be very interested to see your point of views at the end of the game. Were they talking about the referee at the end? Because Derry, a few decisions actually went against them, if anything. So, yeah, I think the referee, in general, though, I think the referee actually did okay. He tried to level it up as much as possible. But, yeah, the McGuigan targeting, that's the big thing. And a lot of people were talking about McKay targeting Clifford even before the game and during the game. But there is an argument as well. Like, there was 5 clear challenges on McGuigan, and there was a challenge on McKinless at the end from Stephen O'Brien. So there could be an argument for Kerry targeting the Derry players rather, and is people's perceptions maybe the other way around in general. So that's something to be thought about as well. So Derry might feel aggrieved over that, but at the same time, look, like if you miss chance after chance after chance when be 2 points in front, you have no one to blame except yourselves, and Derry are in that exact boat this evening, unfortunately.
Yeah, like, and that's the thing. It's the same like with the Dublin Monaghan game yesterday. Like, as much as you can blame decisions, as much as you can blame this or that, I don't think there was anything definitively there. You could argue the Stephen O'Brien moment when he wins that free, like that was obviously a huge turning point in the game. You could argue that wasn't a free. Like, we'll definitely obviously need to see it back, but like this is what happens. Like, sometimes you get decisions, sometimes you don't. Like at the start of the game, obviously McCaig is pulling Clifford's jersey. That probably should have been a free for Kerry, and it wasn't given. This is just what happens. Like, I think sometimes you get the decisions, sometimes you don't. And ultimately, I think from a Kerry perspective, they had that willpower, they had that inner strength to come through. And, you know, it's a sign of a great team. It's what the great teams do. It's what Dublin done in their 6 in a row spell. There'll be times, you know, where we'd have to dig deep. We'd be behind going into the final couple of minutes of semi-finals, finals. we dig deep and turn it around. And like that is the sign of great teams. Even when the going isn't going right, that you have it within yourself to turn it around, and that is the sign of a great team, really.
It is when you haven't played well in general and you scored less than the shots from play and stuff like that in your opposition, when you've lost the kick-up battle, which Kerry all did today, and they came out winning. So that was the main thing with the Kerry team today, and you have to give them credit for that. Would I consider them as a great team right now? They have to win an All-Ireland in 2 weeks' time against Dublin for as far as I'm concerned anyway. So I don't know what you think yourself, Aaron, but I don't think that Kerry team is great at this particular moment in time. We'll have to see in 2 weeks' time now, but yeah, it should be interesting. But it's what maybe the top teams on a certain year do. They get over the line when things are going against them, and that's what Kerry did today, in all fairness to them. But to consider them a top, probably one of the great teams, I think they have to beat Dublin in 2 weeks' time. If they don't, maybe that work this season could be going down the drain for Jack O'Connor.
Yeah, I think so as well. Like I think yeah, like they obviously need to, the great teams obviously go and win back to back. And if they were to be beat by Dublin in 2 weeks' time, then yeah, you probably wouldn't consider them a great team. And look, you could argue if that was Dublin they were playing today, would Dublin have missed those chances going down the home stretch? Would they have been beaten in that way? Probably not. But then again, you could argue on Saturday, if Dublin were playing Kerry, that Kerry would have punished Dublin more and maybe been able to see the game out. Like I think it's, both sides, Dublin and Kerry, have had very similar quarterfinals and actually very similar semi-finals. Like Dublin weren't probably at their absolute best. I think Dublin were better against Monaghan than what Kerry were against Derry. And I think this game was a lot closer than Monaghan and Dublin. I know Monaghan and Dublin were like, there was only 1 or 2 points in it going into the final couple of minutes, but I think that game was over going into injury time, whereas this one was very much still in the ascendancy. Tom says here Derry left it after them, too many missed opportunities. Also says McQuillan, a disaster again. Dublin is great, says Derry, threw it away. Jamie says a petition needs to be signed to prevent Joe McQuillan from being a ref during a game. So definitely a lot of heat thrown McQuillan's way. I don't really know. Like I don't think he done a huge amount wrong, to be honest with you. But there we go. Derek says Kerry are beatable. Dublin will be up for it last year and ready to take them. And Kieran also says Derry are a better team than Monaghan. Yeah, ever so slightly. Yeah, you probably would say Derry are a better side than Monaghan. But yeah, that's how it goes. I mean, looking to the final, Kerry Dublin in a couple of weeks' time. Like, what do you think? What do you think happens there? Could Dublin win it? Could Kerry win it? I mean, it's a hard one, isn't it? Because like Dublin, like both sides have been brilliant in moments, but both sides have also been very poor in moments. So you feel like as a final, it could go either way, really.
It could in general, and usually these Dublin Kerry clashes do in fairness. But at this early stage, I would have Dublin as the favourites. I probably would have had Kerry as the favourites in the quarterfinals. But looking at this weekend's games, the way Dublin put away Monaghan, I think Monaghan actually didn't throw it away as such against Dublin. They plugged away and plugged away and plugged away, but Dublin still had the answers. I think today Derry threw it away and Kerry took advantage of that, fair play to them. But in the current form at the moment, I think Dublin are favourites for the All-Ireland. I just think so. Look at the performances so far. I think they produced a very good performance against a decent enough Mayo team, a Mayo team that beat Kerry as well, Killarney, let's not forget. So I would have Dublin as favourites for the All-Ireland so far, but we'll have to see in 2 weeks' time as we get closer to the game. It should be an interesting game, all right? It's the El Clasico Gaelic football, but I think Dublin should have enough. At this early stage, I'd predict Dublin to win the All-Ireland in 2 weeks' time.
Absolutely. Kieran says, lads, let's talk about Kerry and Derry today. Dublin is the next game. We literally were. I don't know if you just joined or what happened there, but we've literally been speaking about the Kerry and Derry game for about 2 hours. So I'm not entirely sure if you've just joined there, but yeah, I mean, Kerry are playing Dublin next, so obviously there is an element of thinking towards that, because that's obviously the game on the horizon. But yeah, there we go. Like I think Derry ultimately probably let themselves down in their missed chances in the second half. They were so clinical in the first half. They only had one wide. I think 2 wides maybe going into the final couple of minutes. They were very reliant on trying to go for goals. And I think Kerry just had that inner strength within themselves. And Stephen O'Brien coming off the bench made a huge impact. He made a huge difference to the game, and ultimately that was the big difference I felt to dragging Kerry over the line. And look, as much as you can look at decisions and everything else, I think, you know, I think maybe McGuigan was targeted. Should McQuillan have done more there? Yes, but you know, what can you do? You can't send someone off for something like that, you know, like for one of those challenges. So, you know, it is what it is. I don't think McQuillan, in my opinion, had a hugely bad game. I think there was decisions could have went either way, but there we go. On Clitter, our good friend, says, well, lads, what do you think Shane McGuigan was saying to Jack O'Connor at full time? Yeah, I didn't really see what actually happened there. Like, I seen like they were kind of getting a bit close to each other, and then O'Connor went to shake his hand, and McGuigan took his time over shaking his hand, but eventually did. I don't know. Like, it's heat of the moment stuff, and when you've just lost an All-Ireland semi-final, you know, you could probably say anything to anyone. So it's just one of them, really. Like.
Yeah, exactly. I think Jack O'Connor is he's a bit of a, you know, he says these things to players in general, like he tries to big up opposition and stuff like that. And I know I actually missed it, what the altercation was between the two at the end, but so I can't really judge on it. But like Jack O'Connor usually does it to players. Maybe he was saying, unlucky, you'd go again next year or something like that in general. But yeah, it's an interesting one to think of. I'll probably be watching that back after this live stream ends. But it's it's an interesting point there. I don't know what you think yourself, Aaron, what he said. Any ideas what he said? But obviously, you know, you're seeing the altercation anyway.
Yeah. Before we finish up, then, who's winning the All Ireland in your opinion from here?
Dublin.
There we go. I mean, look, I certainly hope so. I mean, I don't know. To be honest with you, it's such a hard one to call. And look, we've got 2 weeks to break it down, so we won't make any decisions right now. I mean, Dublin probably maybe will ever so slightly be coming in as favourites. But look, Kerry beat Dublin last year. They are the All-Ireland champions. And look, we know Kerry, when they get going, how good they can be. And to be fair, Dublin have had numerous times this year where they haven't looked great, but then again, so have Kerry. So it's going to be a very, very interesting final. But yeah, look, we'll go ahead and wrap this up here anyway. Matthew, cheers very much for coming on. Commiserations for Derry supporters. Great win, obviously, for Kerry. You get the job done. 2 weeks' time will be the All-Ireland final. The scramble for tickets very much begins. And hopefully for Kerry and Dublin fans, they can get their tickets. They can get to go and see the final because, first All-Ireland final between Dublin and Kerry since 2019. And we very much know how Dublin and Kerry games usually go down the years. They go down to the wire. They go down to a final kick of a ball. And I expect it to be no different in 2 weeks' time. So, Matthew, cheers very much for coming on. Anyone who tuned into the stream, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. That would be absolutely brilliant. Leeds United. John says, thanks, lads. I enjoyed the watch along. Regards from Peterborough. Peterborough, very much. Thank you very much. And best of luck in promotion next season. Hopefully Leeds can get back to the Premier League. So there we go. Matthew, cheers very much for coming on. And anyone who watched, leave a like, subscribe, and we'll chat again soon.